Welcome to What's the Story Dublin, the official Dublin City Council podcast with me, your host, Michael Ryan. This podcast deep dives into the work of all the moving parts that make up Dublin City Council. It also shares news of the Council's latest initiatives and exciting events. In today's episode, we're looking at the St. Patrick's Festival clean-up with Sean Larkin from our Waste Management section. Sean, it's great to have you as a guest on the pod. Fresh, of course, from your, I suppose, your small screen debut on Virgin's Cleaning Up Ireland programme recently. Did you enjoy that?
I did. Thanks for having me, Michael. It was a really interesting experience. It was different. I've never done anything like that before in my life. So to work with the lads from Virgin, it was really interesting. Yeah, didn't like the end result because I don't like watching myself. So I didn't actually see all of it. I seen clippets of it that was on social media and things like that. But no, not at all.
Now, we're here to talk about not your TV career, but the St. Patrick's Festival cleanup. Now, obviously, this is a big event. I know you do lots of cleanups throughout the year, and your colleagues in Waste Management do. But Paddy's Festival is the biggest one in the year, presumably?
Yeah, it's the busiest day of the year for Waste Management.
Okay. And is it something that you dread, or is it something that you look forward to because it gives you a chance to show everybody what you can do? Me,
personally, I enjoy it. I enjoy the crack. I enjoy the day of the event and the afters. Leading up to it now, it's, obviously you want to get it right. You want to make sure the city's back open as quickly as possible. But now I actually really enjoy being out and about on the day. You're going to see Dublin in a different way. So now I enjoy it. Okay, well, we'll
get into what happens in a second, but let me start by asking you just about, obviously the Paddy's Festival takes place, we all know, middle of March, but when does the planning start for it and how does that work?
January. Okay. So we start looking at it from kind of mid-January, and we start looking at what we need, what plant we have, what plant we need, where the event is going to take place, where it's going to end, because obviously it starts in one end, starts on the north side, finishes on the south side. But we've also got to look at social events. So is there any other social events going on around the city at the same time? Are they going to pull a fail, or are they going to pull a carnival like they do down on Custom House Quay? So we have to plan for all of those road closures, staffing levels. Have we got enough staff?
Yeah.
Are we going to get it done in time? And we look at all that through the whole month of January, February.
Yeah. And I suppose maybe whether there was any learnings from the previous year, that sort of thing?
So we look from last year and we say, right, did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Do we need to add personnel in one spot? Was one place worse than another? That's hard to kind of judge because places change every year. So the younger crowd may end up in Temple Bar. Next year they may end up in Camden Street or Drury Street, so we have to look at that as well. So we're always looking at different things with it across the city.
And it's not just ourselves in the council. You're meeting other stakeholders as well at this point.
So
right?
With Patrick's Festival, the Gardaí and our planning section, so our enforcement section, we're constantly in chats with them. So we have a dedicated event team. So they will be in constant contact with all of the stakeholders throughout the city, all through that couple of months. So they make the decisions, what we need and what we don't need.
And the Patrick's Festival, I mean, when I was a kid growing up, Patrick's Day was sort of just March 17th, but it's grown now, like it's an entire weekend, which is great.
Yeah, it's brilliant for the city. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, we get more tourists in and, there's more stuff for kids and older people. So no, it's gone to almost a week. At times. And depending on when it falls, we could have tourists in from the week before. So that obviously generates more income for the city, which is great.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about how you go about planning for this weekend and what. So we're looking that it's just happened. So and it went very well. So tell us what happened throughout the course of that weekend from your perspective.
So from the week before, we would wash the city. We wash the city every day, but there would be special emphasis on the parade route. So we would rewash it and bring it up to the highest standard possible, which is a grade A standard that we class. We make sure that all of our fleet are repaired and up to scratch and ready to go, and staffing levels. So any broken, damaged bins, they're replaced almost instantly. So there's a lot of planning in staffing levels. We need the ground forces because obviously on the day of the event, it's such a busy day.
Yeah.
We can't bring fleet into a crowded area. So that
You need sort of manpower for this, don't you? Like, AI is not going to pick up the rubbish off the street for you.
And nor is the big sweep machines we have.
Yeah.
Like they're one of the biggest advancements in waste management I've seen in decades, is the new sweep machines. But they don't go into Temple Bar. They don't go into the parade route. It's manpower. It's a brush and a shovel and a little bit.
So tell me, how many staff were involved this year?
So in total, we'd be 450 staff over the previous week, and then right up till the following day of St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
So overall, running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay. So, and when you're doing in the lead up to Patrick's Day itself, to the parade, you're cleaning the city, you're washing the city, as you said. Then the parade takes place. People will be familiar with one of your colleagues, obviously, who always goes along first, leads the parade to some extent.
Our unofficial Grand Marshal. So we've always had that with the Lord Mayor's carriage. Yeah. So he goes along and picks up all the dirt off that one, and he's become a fan favourite in the last 5 or 6 years. So we've two. So there's Robert Henry and there's Clive Lawless. Yeah. There are two more famous individuals. So
people will be familiar with them because they've seen that they come before anybody else, don't they? With the kind of pooper scooper, if that's the right term.
Yeah, they come along with one of our particular machines. So this year it was one of our small little tugs, our little machine, and they would pick up all the horse manure. Yeah. But they really get involved with the crowd. They're brilliant. Yeah. The two lads are absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
The crowd enjoy them and they enjoy the crowd.
Yes. So they feed off each other. Yeah. So they're really, really they're two absolute gentlemen. We'd be lost without them. So they're the real stars of the St. Patrick's Day for us.
They sure are. So tell me then about the parade happens, and then what happens from a waste perspective after that?
As soon as the parade leaves the kind of start line, we're right in behind it.
Okay.
So as the parade moves through O'Connell Street and across to the south side, we're right behind it, and we're cleaning all the litter bins and any waste that's left. So obviously there's crowds along the parade route, and they're behind barriers. So all the waste that's generated there, we are right in there, and we get the city clean along the parade route as quickly as possible. So there's sweep machines are brought in for the bigger areas, and then the smaller areas it's all manual.
Yep. And once the parade passes by, I mean the city, you guys are all out, and the city gets cleaned very quickly after the parade finishes, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's the aim. The aim is to get the city back open for just general use, tourists and citizens, as quickly as possible.
And then the big event, as it were, even bigger than 500,000 people on the streets, I suppose, is just that night then, Patrick's night into the following morning. There's a lot of people, a lot of waste. Yeah. Just talk us through how this year went.
So this year, there was some issues this year around Jury Street where there wasn't any big bins put out. That was a decision made between ourselves and the partners in the Gardaí. So we will look at going forward placing bins in these bigger areas. So obviously Temple Bar historically is the place all tourists go. And citizens of Dublin, they go there. So we've 130 barrels placed around Temple Bar, and that takes 99% of the waste off the streets.
Okay.
It really is. But at 4 o'clock in the morning, with a few sherbets, people don't tend to use litter bins.
Yeah.
They will put it on top of a litter bin rather than use the bins.
So it's not that the bins are full, it's just that people don't put the stuff in
Put them in, yeah. So I've seen it over the years. They put stuff on top of a bin instead of just putting it inside the bin. So you've seen the big belly bins we have around the city. They're the solar powered bins. We clear more waste off the top of them as much as we do on the inside of them. It's just people get a few sherbets or whatever they want inside them, and they just forget to put it in the bin. So.
Because there's a lot of goodwill toward our people in the waste management section around St. Patrick's Festival. I mean, people do appreciate all the work that everybody does. We put up sort of photos and videos on social media of everybody out doing the work, and there are a lot of thank yous and well done and all of that sort of stuff. One of the few criticisms we get is people saying, why don't you put out more bins? Why aren't there bigger bins? Why aren't there loads of bins all over the street? Why aren't you tripping over bins almost? Okay. And what's the answer for that?
So the beach barrels that we use are done in conjunction with the Gardaí. So the Gardaí have checkpoints around certain areas like Temple Bar where they're taking drink off, because it's still illegal to drink in the streets. We know we allow it inside Temple Bar, but you can't walk along O'Connell Street with your bottle of beer or whatever
it may be. Yeah.
Whatever it may be, wherever your favourite tipple is. So those bins are there for the Gardaí to take waste off people and put it into. Plus the fact they're there for general day-to-day waste or street waste. So they're the ones that dictate where most of the bins go. In the places like Drury Street or Camden Street or Grattan Street, we have sufficient amount of bins for normal use. But occasionally we get caught out. And that happens. And we learn from that. And we're always learning. Because next year it might not be Drury Street. It wasn't Drury Street last year or the year before. It might have been somewhere else. So it is in conjunction with ourselves and the guards. So we will learn lessons from every year and we will place more bins. And we'll seriously looking at different methods of collecting waste going forward.
But it sounds like from what you're saying, more bins isn't necessarily the answer.
It's not always the case. It's not always the case. On the day of the event, no. On the aftermath event, definitely not more bins because people don't tend to use them as much as we would like. You know what I mean? And that, it is a problem for us that we face. But if you see from the social media post this year, we had the city open quite quickly on the 18th. Do you know what I mean? We have the expertise. We're very lucky. We have some of the best staff in the world, in my opinion. I know I'm biased because I work in waste management. But we are some of the best staff in the world. Our staff are very experienced and very knowledgeable and are not afraid of hard work. I know that contrary to what everybody thinks. Yeah. We're not.
And they take a lot of pride, don't they, in the city?
Yeah. You've seen it in different social media posts, whether it's, our younger staff who are 23, 24, or older guys and older women. They love this city. They're out there, hail, rain or snow, making sure the city is clean to the best of their ability. But people have to remember, we can't be everywhere. People need to do their bit. If you see, have your litter, bring it to a litter bin. In the city centre, they're everywhere. Might not be as many in the suburbs.
How many bins are there in the city?
So there's 3,500 litter bins across the city, across the administrative area. In the city centre, there's 900 bins.
Wow. So I think that will surprise people. I don't think people realise there's as many as that.
So we're all used to one kind of look of a bin.
Yeah.
And when we change the bins, and obviously we're changing with modern technology, we're trying to make them bigger, more productive for our staff, more safer for the general public to use. People don't see it. That's my perception of it. My mother now is in her 80s, grew up with 2 cleansing men. Father and her son, and she wouldn't know what a big belly bin was. She thinks that we've taken all our bins out. We haven't. We've just replaced it with a different type of bin. And when it's pointed out to them, they go, "Oh, that's a bin." Yeah, it's a bin. It's instant recognition. You can, if you grew up in the suburbs of Dublin, you remember a particular type of bin.
Yeah, it had a particular look. It was very obviously a bin. Yeah.
And now we've just changed it, and most people just ignore it. It's just part of street furniture. I mean, a bench is a bench. A bin is not just always a bin. That's the way I look at it.
Come back to me then about March 18th, the morning of March 18th, after Paddy's Day, or after Paddy's Night, the night before. Obviously, loads of people. We collect lots of waste. And we had staff come in earlier than usual that morning, didn't we?
So we had a night crew on. So we had a small crew on the night shift, and they were cleaning up as best they could, and they done a fantastic job. And then we had the earlier crew. So normally they would start at 6 a.m. We brought them in at 4. So we had a crew in at 4, and we were getting the city back up and running. Hopefully we aim for 9 a.m. We weren't too far off it this year. So we had the city back open. We had it to a grade A standard by 11 a.m, which was exceptional. It is exceptional.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's down to the hard work of the ladies and men of our department. They're really, really good. But we had,
And how does Patrick's Festival compare to, then throughout the year? What are some of the other big sort of events in terms from a waste management perspective?
So All Ireland, Dublin City Marathon, half marathons, and any sort of protest.
Okay.
So if there's a march through the city centre, that obviously generates some litter. If there's a protest at the Dáil, that generates. But most of them are sporting events.
Are they? Right.
And they're mostly sport events. So All Ireland playing at Aviva, whether it's soccer or rugby, whichever your preference may be, they both generate different types of litter. So
that's interesting.
It is.
Tell us.
So Soccer fans.
You're going to choose your words carefully here.
I'm going to choose me. Soccer fans, it's burgers and wraps.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And they use the local burger joints, and it's cans and recyclables.
Yeah.
The rugby crowd are better beer drinkers, in my opinion, and there's more plastic cups from pubs.
Right.
And no one is dirtier than each other.
Yeah.
But we do. I've been doing this for a long, long time, so you do see
How
the
long?
difference. I'm 30 years in waste, and I'm almost 40 years in DCC.
Okay. So you've seen a lot in that time.
You've seen the whole city change. I've seen it all change, Michael. So, but no, obviously the two biggest events for us would be All Ireland, hurling,
and football. Are they? They're not bigger than Patrick's Festival, obviously.
No,
Patrick's Festival's way out by itself. Is it the biggest thing?
It's a million miles from Ireland. So the biggest Ireland I've ever worked is about 100,000. So we did 85,000 in the stadium and 15,000 outside when Limerick won their All Ireland hurling final.
Okay.
So there was a lot of people there. Concerts are big. So, we've had people from Rolling Stones to, Oasis. They were quite big. But no, Patrick's Day itself is leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. It's the biggest day of the year for us.
And how much waste is collected on Patrick's?
So we lifted roughly about 40 tonne of waste off the streets this year.
Okay. And
that's, we transport all that back to our local depots. So we've 2 big containers, hold about 12 tonne maximum. So they were offloaded multiple times to one of our partners, Thornton's Recycling. And they look after it then. So we tip it with them. They separate it into recyclables and recycle what they can. Unfortunately, some goes to landfill.
Okay. And 40 tonnes, how does that compare to a regular weekend? Like, what would we lift on a normal weekend? I know I'm throwing that curveball at you, but do you have that stat?
I don't, not off the top of my head, but it's significantly more in 1 week.
Right.
Yeah. In that would be a week's takings in some of the depots.
Okay.
So we get a lot of waste on the ground on that particular morning.
Yeah. I want to ask you, you touched on it earlier on, just a little piece about the education piece, because we are asking people, aren't we? Asking visitors and Dubs and anyone else who comes to the city just to think about themselves, about how they potentially contribute or don't contribute to waste on the streets of the city in terms of bringing stuff home, that kind of thing with them.
So we ran an ad campaign last year, and we do our bit. And I see our staff out from 6 o'clock in the morning right through the night. And I've worked all the different shifts. We're doing our piece. Can other people do their bit? And if there's not a bin, or where you come across a full litter bin, we have a little QR code on the side of the bin. Just scan it on your mobile phone. We all carry these smart devices. Give it a scan. Get registered with us. We'll have a team on site very, very, very quickly. But walk that extra 10 yards. Find an empty litter bin. If there's no litter bin available, bring it home. Why is it up to our staff constantly? We've done our little bit. We're just asking for other people to do their bit as well. Yeah.
You're 40 years in
almost,
council, and 30 of those in waste management.
30 in waste.
You like it, obviously.
Oh, I love doing it. I started as a litter warden in waste in the mid-90s, and I've risen up the ranks. So now I suppose it's part of me. I'm always getting given out to for looking at litter bins and how they do other things across Europe, and every time I go on holidays, or when I was in the States, I was watching House Sweep Machines and how they wash the streets in New York. So my wife is always giving out to me. I'm always looking at litter bins and different waste.
Yeah, it's ingrained in you at this stage, is it?
Yeah, well, look, my father was in waste before me. You might have seen it on the TV show where I said my father put me in. My father came in 1974. So I've grown up in waste. So it's part of me.
You were saying your dad watched the TV show, or a bit of it anyway.
He watched it. He watched it.
What do you think?
Yeah, he took a broad little tear to his eye. He enjoyed it. I like to pay homage to my dad. My dad put me in here in the 80s when there was nothing else to be here. Yeah. Well, nothing else in the city. So he kind of started this whole journey for me.
And what section was your dad in?
So my father was in cleansing as well. He was in waste management service. So my father used to wash the streets at 6 a.m. in the morning when I was a child, yeah. So as I grew up, my dad went missing at 6 in the morning. We didn't see him then till late in the evening time. And then Christmas morning, there was always a delay in going up and showing the parents the Christmas presents because my dad was in work. So we work 365 days a year. So there's never a time where there's nobody. Complete absence of waste management staff. Obviously on Christmas Day, and there's a small gap, but we're in every morning. So I remember as a child growing up and saying, you can't go see your dad because he was asleep. He wasn't. He was in work.
Right. Okay.
And I inherited that.
Yeah.
So my kids never got Santa till 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Because dad was in work.
Yeah.
So my next generation will do it as well.
Yeah.
So I had my first Christmas off in 30 years last year.
Very good.
Yeah. So, and I'm not working anymore.
I think you've earned your
I've earned my rest, my Christmas morning rest.
At this stage, yeah. Look, that's a nice note to leave it on, Sean. It's been great having you on the podcast.
It was lovely, thank you.
And thanks, and tell all the lads and the staff and waste managers keep doing what they're doing, because everybody else in the council is very proud of them too.
We're constantly telling them that. We're very proud of the staff we have.
Good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And thanks again to today's guest, Sean Larkin. I'd also like to extend my thanks to our audio engineer and editor, Rob Fay. This podcast was produced by Shane McIntyre and myself, Michael Ryan, and recorded in the Central Library studio. Be sure to spread the word if you're enjoying What's the Story Dublin, and like and subscribe for future episodes. Take it handy.